episode 220 YouTube project on how to create and use a pivot table on a Mac. Pivot tables are used to compare key or specific metrics of data. They are normally used in business for large spreadsheets of data, but today we're just going to be looking at a pivot table for evaluating NFL teams. So first off is, how do you make a pivot table? Well, we're going to show you. The data, first off, is what you need to collect. And if you have that, as you see what we have here, all you have to do is highlight all the data by clicking the left-hand corner of the spreadsheet, go to the Data tab, and click Pivot Table. A new spreadsheet or a new tab will open up next to your data table as seen there, and you'll have this pivot. I'm going to reset the pivot because, well, Windows thinks it knows best, or Mac does. So here is what a pivot table looks like, blank. And as you can see, it's broken out with a row, a column area, a report filter, and a values area. And you have this little pivot table builder here on the side to help you build your pivot. So first off, the row label will give you horizontal information. So we're going to drag the divisions down in here, and you see the different divisions of the NFL. So then we're going to move the teams into the column labels, which gives information going vertically. Now, you want to use information that has a relationship between it when you're using row and column labels. So teams are found in certain divisions. So if we unselect all the divisions, we can select just one division, the AFC North, home to my Cincinnati Bengals, and you'll see that all the teams disappeared except for those in the AFC North. Now, the pivot table uses basic filtering as in other Excel spreadsheets. So what we're going to do here is just look and compare the four teams within the AFC North. What you can use is the report filter. You can drag, and we're going to drag win percentage into the report filter. And this will show us what we can do is filter our data by certain criteria. So what we can do is select all teams that have a winning record. So I'm going to do that now. And as you see, only Cincinnati and Pittsburgh remain. So what we can also do is then compare directly the field goal percentages of the two by dragging them into the values field. Now values is pretty cool because you can either just do a strict count, or if you click on that little eye, you can get the average or the sum of whatever data you're looking for, or the max or the min. There's a lot of things you can do there. But for this, we just want to know the sum. And comparing Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, Cincinnati has an 87% chance of making their field goal compared to an 82% of Pittsburgh. And the cool thing about pivots is they're always going to give you a grand total as well, going in both directions. So now that you kind of know how to use the four different fields, we're going to show you just some other things you could potentially do to compare other bits of information. And to keep it simple, we're just going to use the row label for right now. So what I'm going to do is kind of reset the pivot by just dragging things back up into the field name box. And I'm going to leave divisions in there and undo the filters that I had set. So from there, I'm going to add another level to the row label and add teams. So now you see the four teams that represent each of the different divisions. And I'm actually going to break that down a little further so we can do a comparison of two similar but different leagues. So I'm going to unselect all of the divisions and select the AFC North and compare it to the NFC North. and you'll see that all the teams for both of those two divisions show up. Now, from here, what I'm going to do is compare the offensive information of the two teams. So first I'm going to look at turnovers, which for you fantasy football people, you know is important. So when I simply drag the turnover information down into the values field, you see that there's counts. So what we're going to do is simply show the averages of the interceptions and the averages of the fumbles. So now you see an overall average of interceptions and fumbles for the AFC North and NFC North. But you also see the individual scores of each of the teams. So, what we can also do is add some more data, like rushing yards and passing yards. And once again, we're going to need to change the values field. But here, we're going to use sum to represent the total rushing yards per game and passing yards per game for each of the divisions as well as each of the teams. So you can see a comparison between the strengths and weaknesses of both the teams. So we've compared the two divisions, and AFC North passes more and rushes more. However, they give up more fumbles but less interceptions. And if we really want to compare two teams, such as if they're playing each other on game day, we can select not only division but also by team in the row labels. So from there, we can select my Cincinnati Bengals against the Green Bay Packers. And that information will populate right next to each other. So we can also compare that Cincinnati has more yards per game in both rushing and passing, but they give almost 20 more turnovers in the air than the Green Bay Packers. So this was just kind of to give you an idea of how you would create a pivot table using Excel for a Mac, and also kind of the benefits and things you could use in your day-to-day life, but also how you could potentially use this in a business setting. Thanks for your time, and if you have any questions, just please comment on our YouTube. Thanks.